Hi class, let's talk about what is abstract data type. So first, what is a data type? We have looked at many data types before actually. Int, string, the class car is also a data type. Is struct car a data type? Yes, it is. So it usually consists of a set of values, the member variables, and then some basic operations. So what is abstract data type? Abstract data types are those that programmers like us don't have to know how they are implemented, and you can still use the data type. There's a differentiation of interface and implementation. So all you need to know to use the abstract data type is provided to you. In our programs, we use comments to do so. But if you think about int, for example, I will tell you that it's an abstract data type. You don't know how it's implemented. You don't know how double is implemented. You don't know how short is implemented. But how to use functions related to them is actually documented, that we in the beginning of the class, we have shared some of the links from C++, the website. So those documentation are available for you to know how to, for example, use the plus, addition operator, the minus operator, the assignment operator, and so on. The implementation, like we talked about, you actually don't know about it. And so you don't know if they represented a double, how they do it, right? Do they separate the whole number and the decimal points? You don't know, but you just know how to use this abstract data type for your purpose of programming. How to implement abstract data type. So there's 3 requirements for abstract data type. One is all variables has to be private. So far that's what we did. Make helper functions private. Helper functions are those functions that programmers doesn't need to know because they are used internally to make other functions work better. So for functions that's available for public, we make them public first of all, otherwise we can't call them. And second of all, we have to fully specify how to use them. And so in our case right now, we are just going to use comments to tell people how to use those functions, member functions. So is an integer an abstract data type? I think I gave you the answer already, which is yes. You know how to just enough to use the functions to manipulate or use in for your programs, but you don't know how these data types are implemented, or string as well. So so far I want to go through all the classes, that the car classes that we declared, and see if they are abstract data type. So in the class number 1 implementation is the everything, all the member variables private, yes. The helper function, because there's none, and then is the function available for other people to use, public, yes. And so this is actually an abstract data type, except we missed the last point where we didn't really talk about how to use it. And so I would say that if I were to make it a real abstract data type, I would have to write documentation for how to use print card. We will see later on an example. So the same for number 2, but we just have to write the documentation or how to use constructors for the users. The same for number 3. So we have to also write the documentation for the setter and getters, or we call it assessors and modifiers also. For number 4, is the same. So we will have to write document. So these are hidden, and then we will have to write how to use the other functions. So when we program, we always want to implement ADTs. It's much better to avoid mistakenly or the code going everywhere like spider webs. It touched many points of a class. So it's better to contain what users can do and not do with your class. So let's look at a demo. So this is more like demoing to you how you can also make the US location a abstract data type. So what I did is I changed the US location from a struct to a class. You can see the keyword here. We stay with the same two variables, but then we have constructors for this data type. We have getters, we have setters, and then we have the other function print location, and I also added a helper function so that you can see how it might look like. So because when we validate if a city is belong to a state, we don't need it to be available for everyone to use it, because we would just call it when we try to set a new city or set a new state. And so we make it a private function. And so as you can see here, we use both the keyword public and private in the same class definition. The two variables still stays private. Everything after public is public, and then everything after private is private. So the car class, I changed it so that it doesn't have the I think we are not implementing the get location here, but we are implementing set location still, and the print car is still the same. And then so let's look a little bit about the implementation of the class member functions of US location. And so we are doing nothing for US location when we don't know the city or the state. We just have that two variables ready. But if we do have the constructor called and pass in the city and the state, we will validate the city and the state are valid. Like make sure that, I don't know, Mountain View, I don't know if there's a Mountain View in Minnesota. So if not, then validate city will return false. That's what we want. So you can see that this is the helper function that we declare. This is just a stub because this should go to a database and then check through the database of US city and US state name. But this is a stub, and so we always return true just to demonstrate. So maybe the implementation details on the only one thing that might be important is how we are using the US location class in the implementation of print car. So we also implement a print location, and so you see we were able to access the state and city directly, and so we check if it's empty. If not, then we print it out, and then we actually call this function in our print car class function. So we would use the object's name location that is here. This is the name that we are using. Location dot get state, which is class member function that's made public. The getState returns a string, right? So we can train them together and say, okay, the string that's being returned, if it's not empty, there's a not here, not empty, then we will print out this statement about it is located in where. And when we print out the location, we actually didn't use the get state or get city to do it, because there's already a print location function being declared for location, so, and it's made available for public to use. So play with this program. This is going to be available for you as usual. Oh, one important thing that I didn't mention. So why is this an ADT, right? Why both classes, the US location and the class car, are ADT, or abstract data types? Because we satisfied all three requirements. First, all the member variables are private. All the helper functions are also private. Yes. And then the public functions are available for the public, and also we document how to, or what it does, or how to use it. So this is the attempt to do so without being too tedious. So for example, in the constructor, we talk about that it will initialize the city to US city and the state to US state. You don't necessarily need to expose that the name of our member variable is city. So we just say that it's initializing the city where the car is to US city. Why you might need to do documentation, I think is pretty obvious. If you're writing this for your fellow teammates to write a program on top of it, for example, they only need to know the interface, which is this part, right after the public. This is the interface of your function. They only need to know this and the class name, and so that they can use this class without knowing the details of the implementation. That's how we work together to create programs that can that provide us Google, for example, to search the whole wide world internet, right? So if we just run the program, let's look at how we are using the program. So to kind of recap a little bit, when we declare an object, we have the class name first, the name of the object, and calling a constructor. In this case, the constructor, like here, it initialized, this is the location. So the constructors, how to use it is here, right? So you know that you are going to pass in the city and the state. And then the same for the car. And then we print out the car, which is the Passat, my car. So this is 2018 VW Passat. It is located in San Jose, California. So, and then we declare your location, which we don't know the city yet, but we know the car's information. We know it's in California. So we print it out. So it is located in California. And then we set up, we change basically the location to Mountain View, the city using the constructor, right? You see the name of the class again, and so this is a call to the constructor. And then call set location, which is a setter, and set Mountain View CA to your car's location, and then print it out again. And now you see that now the printout is Mountain View, California. To recap, we talk about what is a data type, what is an abstract data type, how to implement an abstract data type, the differentiation between interface and implementation, and then to remind you, we always want to implement ADT when we declare our own types. We will talk about why. See you in the next video.